I really don't know what it is about this game that just allows me to constantly just sit there and like reflect on just random shit when I'm playing it. Like, I have these moments where something just pops into my brain and I'm like, I just kind of want to talk about this for a little while. And something that has been really, really on my mind recently is the fact that, like, this might sound ridiculous, but I am at a point in my life where I can actually feel myself getting older. And trust me, there is some relevance to this, because the world, at least at my age, it feels like everything is just speeding up. You know, it's becoming more and more fast-paced, and we seem to have traded hard work for like instant gratification, both in reality and in video games. And people are selling themselves for like fame and fortune now. The world has just become like a total blur, basically, from what I once knew. Now, we also seemingly, as a race, we have like no time for anything or anyone. It can often even be hard to appreciate the little pleasures in life around you. These could be little pleasures that you often don't even realize that you're taking for granted. You might just glance at them or pass them by without a care in the world. It's because of this like real busyness in the world right now that I've always been a massive advocate for escapism. People find escapism in all different types and different manners, from like hobbies, crafts, that sort of thing. Whereas for me, it's always been video games. And a video game that I've always been able to escape into is World of Warcraft, specifically World of Warcraft Classic. Now, I might not play the game 24/7. There are plenty of other games that I tend to play, but Azeroth has a real charm to it. It's got a real way of just allowing you to just slow the fuck down for a moment and appreciate everything around you. Instead of people just rushing from A to B to complete the next task, you find that it has a much more gentle pace to this game. You know, for example, the general haste of progression is instead sort of traded for gentle enjoyment, and the lack of wanting to communicate with people like we do in real life is actually swapped out with busy guild chats or conversations in auction halls or taverns or whispers. It's just a really nice atmosphere to be in when you are someone who's perhaps slower than like the average person, if that makes any sense. Now, one major factor to this game that really allows me to appreciate it is quite literally in the title. Okay, it's the world of Warcraft, the actual world, the creation itself. Now, the world is, at least to my knowledge, it's created with clear and intent purposes. It's people that developed this game at the time understood that people that are playing this want an escape. They don't want to be in their regular, boring, mundane lives anymore. They want to escape and be in a world that they can be whoever they want to be. They want to be part of a world that is full of mystery and opportunity and adventure at every corner. And when I first loaded this game up, I remember I made a human warrior, I believe, and I spent a lot of time questing around Goldshire, around Stormwind as well, and really kind of like built up obviously human areas. And it wasn't until I made a night elf druid and I started in Teldrassil and started venturing out to Darkshore and Orbadine that I started to really get lost in the game. And I started to really understand the sense of like, do you know what? Like, if I sit back and actually think hard enough, I could really see myself living in this world, living in the treetop houses of Darnassus and becoming like a part of this community. I just wanted to just inject myself into this game, as silly as that sounds. I don't know if you guys have ever done this whilst playing World of Warcraft. I'm sure many of you classic players have. Maybe not so much retail, but have you ever sat back like we are now and just listened to the ambience, just listened to the birds chirping, the kind of like reptilian creatures by the like mossy swamp area croaking, and you can hear the leaves rustling in the wind and the gentle winds, and as well as the background music. It's weirdly soothing in this game. I feel like, honestly, like, it sounds crazy, but if you were having a really stressful day or a really busy day, you don't even have to log into this game to necessarily complete anything to feel like you're having a good time, feel like you're relaxing. And this is coming from someone who hasn't even played the game at the peak, at the real peak of vanilla, where the game was most popular. It was almost a social construct back then. You know, people would log into this game as almost like an online chat room. I used to play a game called Phantasy Star Online, which was kind of like, I guess it was like the pioneer for like console RPGs, online RPGs, and people refer to that as a playable chat room, right? And I guess in many ways that's what World of Warcraft is to a lot of people. I'm sure there are a lot of people that love raiding, love leveling up, powering up their classes, but I bet there's a lot of people that log into this game with no intentions of doing anything. Something else that really appealed to my boomer brain, if you like, I guess that's what we're calling it now, is the slower pace of the quests and the overarching world building as well. And for me, the quests in WoW are probably the easiest way to get like snippets of lore and like an understanding of the background, like the overarching story of World of Warcraft. There's a bit of an ongoing meme like in the community of the storytelling of WoW Classic, because it's not inherently obvious unless you go to like a third-party source, unless you read books, because there are a lot of them. There's also a lot of stories and tales, but actually reading the quests, which are manageable, by the way. The dialogue really is great in this game. It's not too much, I've played games like Lord of the Rings Online where the game's great, the lore, the Tolkien stories, they're all fantastic, but it's a lot to read. Whereas in Azeroth, in World of Warcraft, it's really digestible, and it gives you, if you want to pick up on it, it gives you some really key information about the ongoings of the world around you and the certain regions. There's certain factional information, racial information. There are slight snippets of information about things happening about the town or key individuals you need to be on the lookout for. And truthfully, this game lets you learn as much about it as you really want to. If you just want to grind through the game questing, it's great for that. It's chill. You can have something on the other monitor. You can just do whatever you want to do. But if you really want to learn about this game, it's so nice to just take your time and take in the scenery around you whilst also learning about what's around you at the same time. Because I really started to go out of my way to, if I'm walking to a certain destination for a quest, I really started to pan my camera around a bit more. It might sound really stupid to say, but it's amazing how many things you miss when you're just running from A to B. And, there are certain, like, broken down ruins of, like, old gods and, like, shrines of demon lords. You know what I'm trying to say, right? There's elements of lore that you just miss out on. And I think, personally, there is an element of speculation that is still left in World of Warcraft. A lot of the quests, as much as it tries to flesh out some sort of a story, I love that it leaves a little gap for speculation. I think speculation is key to virtually any successful media product on the market right now. How many of the best films that you've ever watched leave you on a cliffhanger where you don't quite know which way it's going to go? And audience speculation is the biggest tool to any developer of any kind, and World of Warcraft does that really well. When you are walking past these ancient ruins, I love just taking my time to just think, I wonder what the situation, like what happened here all these years ago, and trying to understand the lore, what it might have felt like, smelt like, all of these stupid things that are coming out of my mouth, but it's relevant to me at the time. I guess another reason why this game appeals to me as someone who is, I guess, I like to say over the bridge at this point, not particularly young, right? Another reason why this game appeals to me is the fact that a lot of people that play this game are stereotypically my age or older. I don't want to like tar everyone with the same brush. I'm sure there's some very sensible teenagers out there, some very sensible kids, but stereotypically that sort of audience leads to a level of toxicity. Now, don't get me wrong, having seen recent events in the hardcore scene, there are a lot of toxic individuals, I'm sure, but not all of you. For the most part, the classic WoW, at least softcore community, is incredibly nice, and it's such a welcoming environment. You can stop midway on your adventures and have a conversation with people. You don't even have to say anything. You can just buff each other and walk away. But there's not been a single moment I can think of where I've put something in the regional sort of like general chat about either needing help with a certain quest or killing a certain particular mob where someone hasn't responded to me. It's always been met with constant whispers, a party really quickly. People are just generally happy to help people out. And I think one of the main factors of that is the fact that people want to see this game go on for as long as time can physically carry it. And they understand that player retention is going to be a massive factor into that. If the players aren't having a good time, then why would they stick around? Over and above everything else, though, I guess this is probably like a little bit sad for me to say, but I do love the historical impact that this game has actually had. I wouldn't say even just on the video game market, I'd say on the world. Like, you think how much of an impact this game has had from the moment it launched to even where we are now. I mean, it was on the news at one point. It had a dedicated South Park episode. Not to mention all the viral memes that came from it. I mean, we all love Leroy Jenkins and 50 DKP minus, and you think of all the awesome content creators that have grown with this game. You know, at one point, I'm pretty sure if I read correctly, people were actually worried about their kids being addicted to World of Warcraft. It was causing them to become violent. It was causing them to like fail school and lessons. It was like almost like a global pandemic. I mean, this game at the time, you got to bear in mind, I'm pretty sure the busiest and most played MMO up to this point was probably EverQuest, and the numbers weren't even close. I mean, World of Warcraft really took over the gaming space. I mean, this was the game for many years. In fact, Final Fantasy XIV only pretty much passed it up until COVID, and even then I think it started to slip again. So just being a part of a game that has such a shift in the world dynamics has been really, really enjoyable, and a lot of people you see and meet are really proud of that as well. These people are proud to be playing this game. I think for the most part, people just enjoy similar things to me. They enjoy just going about their day. A lot of people work like a 9 to 5, or they work Monday to Friday, and they just want to sit and play their game, chat to their buddies, shoot the shit, and just generally have a good time. And Azeroth really does welcome that so much. I mean, even like right now, just sitting in Moonglade, no UI, it's just such a lovely. I mean, like, you could quite happily, if you wanted to, you could sit here, have this on in the background, and just do your own thing. I'm not really sure ultimately where I wanted this video to go. I think I just wanted to kind of put some thoughts into video format to just kind of see if anyone feels the same. You know, this game has had a big impact on me, much like many of the other games that I cover on this channel. But World of Warcraft is something special. I'm yet to find that tether with retail. I really am yet to find that connection. I don't know if that will ever come, but certainly World of Warcraft Classic has really left its mark for me, for sure. If you guys feel the same, or even if you feel drastically different, let me know down in the comments. As always, do consider leaving a like rating and subscribing for more content just like this, and I'll see you in the next one.